question arises, and everyone uses this term, one time or another, even if it's not talking about Parshas Behar, and that is Ma in Shemitah Eitzel Har Sinai. Why is it that the Pashtus is, why is, if two things don't seem to be able to be understood as to why they're next to each other, why they're juxtaposed, so we'd say, Ma'in Shemitah Eitzel Har Sinai. Well, what do the two have to do together? It's meant the Pashtus, as far as this particular Indian is concerned in Parshas Behar, it says, Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe Behar Sinai Lemor. Is the time that Moshe is addressed by Hashem at Har Sinai. What's the necessity, really, of mentioning Har Sinai in this particular mitzvah? After all, we have 612 other mitzvahs, and we don't mention Har Sinai by them because we know that all the mitzvahs are Har Sinai. Why do we single out Shemitah? And then the psukim continue. Shisamru, if a person will say, people will say, Manaycha, what are we going to eat? And during a period of time that we're asked not to plant, not to harvest, not to do anything when it comes to food. I mean, how will we have enough? Certainly it can take from the fields where what's growing, but it certainly is not going to be enough. And then the Tzivi says, Birchosi, Hashem says, in the 6th year, I'm going to command my bracha to be able to take care of you during this whole period. It really extends the 6th, 7th, 8th year, until they put them in the food in the granaries in the 9th year. It's not complete either, although Baruch Hashem in the 8th year they're eating. But Hashem is going to make this happen. Sam Sofer says, you know why it says Har Sinai? And what the Gilui, the revelation for all mitzvahs, is that only Hashem could make a promise that we're going to have food the way he promises that we're going to have. And that's why we say that this is Hashem speaks to Moshe and regarding the mitzvah of Shemitah at Har Sinai, to show everything comes from Har Sinai, and we see it here. And that handles that per se. Now it is interesting that if a person wants to see this, he can see this. Everything certainly, it's so clear. Only a Kadosh Baruch Hu could make such a promise, and the promise is kept. And Horaya, we're here, because can you imagine all the Jews would follow this, and then God forbid, if it didn't happen, then the Klal Yisrael would be decimated, it would be destroyed, we wouldn't be here. So this was kept. By the way, Rabbi Yoshev mentioned that this idea that during the Shemitah there's going to be enough, that works for the Klal Yisrael. It doesn't necessarily refer to the Prat Yisrael, for the individuals. There may be individuals who have a very, very hard time during that time. But that will be involved with various cheshbonos, various considerations for the individual. But Klal Yisrael, the promise is there, clear as clear can be. Now, we've all heard of Kamamius. Kamamius is an example where the people kept Shemitah about in the 1950s, at a time where people didn't keep Shemitah. It wasn't a question, they went according to any formula that might allow something like this. It was not kept with the people who were around Kamamius. And after that period of time, there was a locust infestation, which was a huge locust infestation, and all of the people who didn't keep Shemitah were, their fields were destroyed. They were eaten up. Mashen came Kamamios, where the people there did not suffer from the infestation at all. So people say, they kept Shemitah. So there's a yeshiva in Bnei Brak that it's called Nesivos. And in Nesivos, many Baalei Tshuva. And there was one young man whose parent lived in the Kamamios area, and so this Baal Tshuva came to his father, who was already, had lived through that time, and he's asked him, what happened? Did you see actually? He says, yes. We went, as a matter of fact, my Boy Scout group took me to Kamamios to show that everything was standing, and the locust had not eaten these huge grasshoppers, didn't eat any of the crops there. So he said, so what happened? He was wondering, why didn't this turn his father around and the other people were so clear? So the father said, my Boy Scout troop leader said, Chevra, look at this. Even the grasshoppers realize that whatever these people who are Shomrei Mitzvahs, whatever they're keeping, is a terrible taste. And they find that a Gaal Nefesh, that it's disgusting, and even the locusts wouldn't eat it. So it does show us that if a person does not want to accept, man has Bechira. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will never set up a situation where a person's forced to keep mitzvahs. Doesn't, but that was what happened. Now there's another interesting situation that occurred to another person who kept mitzvahs, and at the end of his, the mitzvah Shemitah, and at the end of the Shemitah period, the only type of seeds that he could get, I don't know all the pratim, all the details, he could only get seeds to grow celery. So he grew celery, and he had fantastic success. But celery, what's he going to do with all this celery? And people looked at him strangely. He's keeping the Shemitah and, celery. But at that time, there was a terrible cold front in Europe. And people in the cold front, they didn't have any celery at all. And therefore, he had buyers and planes that came and loaded on the celery. It was sold in Europe, and this man became wealthy. So it is interesting that here, there, and everywhere are particular, incidences that just reinforce something that we understand. But the fact is, we are Mekabel because we're Mekabel, but it's nice to hear something on the side of this nature. Let me share one other Chassam Sefer, which I think is a beautiful idea based on the Sefer HaChinuch. Sefer HaChinuch explains that when it comes to Shemitah, we are reinforcing the understanding that a Kadosh Baruch Hu, he was also Oseh V'Yaseh. He is the one who made, who makes, and will make. He is the Kadosh Baruch Hu is Azonas Ha'olam. He is the one who sustains the world. And ex nihilo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, through Shemitah, we are reminded that God created the world something from nothing, and He is the master of the masters. Okay, so therefore we have this as such. Now, our job, of course, is to use the world around us to reinforce this idea. And therefore, so when the point that Chassam Sefer makes is follows. When the Jewish people left Egypt to go into the desert, they were fully aware that food grows from the ground. They saw what happened with the Marcus. This is their experience just as it's our experience. And then they went into the desert, and lo and behold, lechem min hashamayim. And this was just a fantastic miracle that reinforced their understanding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Hoya, he's Oseh V'Yaseh. He is the Zonas Ha'olam. He creates, maintains everything. By the time 40 years were over, the children who were born in the Midbar, to them, Lechem min Hashamayim was commonplace. This is the way it is. So what was the miracle? When they went into Eretz Israel, and they saw people planted seeds in the ground, and lo and behold, the seeds germinated, they rotted in the ground, and then things grew. What a miracle! This was really something. The idea is this: whatever we become accustomed to, this is not what we've accustomed. Our task, the avoda in avodas Hashem, is to use whatever opportunity to see the hand of God in what we might call something which is somewhat irregular, and then realize that the irregular is testimony that the regular is the same. That lechem min hashamayim is lechem min haaretz is lechem min hashamayim, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who is the borei, who puts everything together for us, and therefore this is the way we grow in avodas Hashem. This coming Sunday, I am having an operation. And the Mitzvah Hashem, Kalman Mordechai Ben Simcha, all will be well. I don't know when I'll be back, but I will be back. in Yez Hashem, and all will be well. So I look forward to seeing you during the as soon as I possibly can. Okay, have a good Shabbos.